In a world where the paranormal meets the preposterous, where ghostly whispers echo through the abandoned arcades, and every creaky floorboard might just be a clue, two bravish souls dare to investigate the mysteries no one else will touch.
Boo-Foons, mystery investigators.
Hey there, mystery lovers and mischief makers. I'm Steve.
And I'm Dan, together with the Boo-Foons Mystery Investigators, your guides through the weird, the wild, and the wonderfully unexplained.
Each week, we dive headfirst into bizarre tales, haunted happenings, and conspiracy theories so strange they'll make your nan's ghost stories sound like bedtime lullabies.
We're talking cursed vacuum cleaners, psychic pigeons, haunted theme parks, and maybe, just maybe, a few real clues along the way.
So grab your flashlights, your EMF detectors, and maybe a snack, because things are about to get weird.
This is the Boo-Foons Mystery Investigators, where the only thing scarier than the truth is how much fun we're having finding it. Welcome to the Boo-Foons Mystery Investigators. I'm Dan.
And I'm Steve.
And this week, we are travelling almost to your neck of the woods. We're actually going past you. We're going down to Cornwall, and we're going to the furthest part, the most southern point of the UK, because we're going to Land's End today.
It's a lovely place. And yes, well, it is lovely, but it's very expensive because you have to pay for everything there. Even if you want to take a picture down there, somebody tries to make you pay for it. So I imagine whatever we're going to talk about here is going to cost money to us somehow, even if we just talk about it. Yeah. Not that I'm just a bit disappointed by the fact it was so commercialized. Yes, yeah. Sorry. Yes, it's a lovely place.
Well, it's like when I went there, you pay for the car park, you then have to pay to then get into the little theme parky bit where the toilets and everything are.
Yeah.
You've then, like you said, you've then got to pay to have a picture with the sign. You got to pay to do this, pay to do that, and then you've got to pay to go into any of the buildings in the little area.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised when you go into Land's End, I'm surprised they don't put you with a blindfold on and go, oh no, if you want to see the ocean, you got to pay for it.
Yeah, well, they pay you. You have to pay to have your photograph taken by the signpost that points to John O'Groats. So there's all that as well. So pay for everything.
Just pay for everything. So yeah, we are probably going to have to pay to read the story.
Yeah. So how much are you going to pay?
I don't know, but maybe our listeners can, this one we do as a premium episode because about Land's End, and everyone's got to pay to listen to this one.
They'll charge us for it. They'll charge us for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, but apart from that, it's nice there.
It is nice. It's very nice. And it has Daisy dogs.
No, not just right. Okay, Daisy dogs of Land's End. Right.
The reason dogs.
We're starting like this already because we both would looking into research Daisy, the dog of Land's End, and we've both come up with completely contradicting stories. So I think we'll start with Dan's first because Dan, you are so good at this, and I can't wait to hear your Cornish accent.
Proper job. That's just me trying to do an impression of the dude from Time Team. So yes, the story that I've got about the Daisy dogs of Land's End goes back to the 16th century. And the story actually starts in China, of all places. So in ancient China, no one apart from the imperial family were allowed to own Pekingese dogs. Therefore, the emperor decided that he wanted to honour Queen Elizabeth I. And he realised that with Chinese custom, the thing that would be the most honourable gift and the best gift would be some Pekingese dogs. So he decides to send his daughter, the princess, with 2 dogs in a carved ivory box. So one was male, one was female, and the female was actually pregnant with puppies at the start of the journey. As they went across the journey, so obviously 16th century, they've walked all across Asia, through Europe, and before they get to France, some puppies have been born. They say 5 puppies. The number's not actually significant to the story, but let's go with 5. And the little dogs were very protective, so they kept the female dog in the box with the puppies, and it was very, very protective. So if anyone went near the puppies, it would bite and snap and growl and get very angry. The male dog was allowed to be outside the box because it wasn't protecting its children. When they reached France, they needed to get a ship to England and found themselves on a Cornish ship. Now, on the voyage across the English Channel, the ocean was very, very rough and stormy. And as I said, she's Chinese. She's a Chinese princess. So the crew of the ship said that she was a slanty-eyed demon who was whipping up the storm to kill the crew and make the boat flip over.
So they blamed her for that.
So they blamed her because she was Asian, because she was Chinese. Obviously, her eye shape was very different to somebody from Cornwall.
Well, yeah,
so they called her.
Bit, but why blame her for the? Why? I get the racism,
yeah.
but it's the irrational fear of that she's also a witch or a demon. That's the bit that gets me.
Yeah, she's a slanty-eyed demon trying to kill the crew.
Yeah.
And
that's a bit harsh.
It is very harsh.
I mean, considering that she's probably paying them to take her over there, then. Oh, Russia. Well, did they say where the crew was from? Was it a British ship? Was it an English ship? Or was it a Chinese ship? Was it
Cornish?
What? The ship actually came from Cornwall, went to China to pick her up?
No. Went France.
Went to France, okay.
So she's travelled from China across land to France. Yeah. So she's got the boat, she's got the ship in France.
Okay. To
go across the English Channel.
Which must have been there on its own back then, because we didn't have very good relationships with France.
No. So they've accused her of being this demon.
They would have accused the French of being the demon if they'd have been on it too. So it would have been okay. Everybody.
Anyone's a demon.
Now.
Yeah.
Karen, sorry.
The crew think that she's a demon, the slanty-eyed demon, and they've decided they're scared, and they think that all of the power and magic is in this box that she's guarding with all of her life. So one of the crew members reaches out to steal the carved ivory box. As he does so, the dog that's inside bites his hand because obviously the dog's protecting its puppies. With that, he thinks that it was the girl that's bit him because she's a demon. So they get her and the box, throw her overboard.
Yeah. I'm assuming she paid them up front then. That was a mistake.
She must have done. And then her body and the box with the dogs in were washed up onto a cove near Land's End. No one would go anywhere near the body because she's a demon apparently. And then a man who was described as the village simpleton decided to go and approach the body, discover that she was dead, and only one dog was alive and was injured. So he decided that he would dig a grave, put the girl in, put the box in, put the dead dogs in, covered the grave, then went and gathered some wild daisies and planted them in the shape of a cross on top of the grave, and then placed the dog that was still alive in the middle of the daisies. And the dog licked him with gratitude, and then died due to its injuries. When the ship reached the harbour, they said about the treasure that had been thrown overboard, and the man who had been bitten had died. So they then said that the cross of daisies under there was this demon, and he had died because of the demon attacking him. And it was said that a ghostly dog could be seen defending the grave, and that its bite would cause death. And in 1850, a boy found a piece of carved ivory near the cliffs, so not far from where this grave was. As he picked the piece of ivory up, he felt as though he had been bitten and saw a mark on his hand that looked like a bite from a dog, and then died a few weeks later. So they then basically figured that the daisy dog that guards the daisy grave was a sign of death, and if you are bitten by the ghostly daisy dog, you're gonna die.
That's quite impressive.
There we go. That's the story of the daisy dog that I found. Rather depressing story of a Chinese princess dying and being thrown overboard.
You know, I mean, it makes you think, though, but if that had happened, there would have been some sort of diplomatic incident. It would be in the history books. I would have thought there would have been somewhere if somebody would have thrown a Chinese princess overboard along the way. Somebody would have reported it somewhere. It's kind of a bit. I mean, the other thing is, why would you keep all those dogs in a box? It's not the best environment. It'll be sloshing around inside. I know it's not a long journey to come across from France, but it's long enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's got a few holes in, I think, like the box hopefully had. Otherwise, the dogs would have been suffocated well before they drowned. But this, again, another depressing story. Why do they always have to be so depressing? Why they always want to kill people? Okay, so does it say anything after the last child was bitten and died? Did anyone else ever die?
Well, some other bits that I found seem to suggest that the reason why the crew threw her overboard is because they heard her and the group of people that she was with all speaking Mandarin or ancient Chinese or old Chinese at that point. And they knew that they had gold. So they thought that because they were speaking in a different language, they thought they were casting spells. And the crew, trying to get the gold, decided to mutiny it against the captain and killed the captain because the captain wouldn't let them steal the gold. And that's why they then threw her overboard, because they were after the gold and the treasure, and they blamed her for being a demon for making the crew go crazy of killing and mutiny. Yeah.
Okay. That's more like it, I imagine. Yeah, it makes more sense, doesn't it? To basically to be greedy, to kill, to kill for money, to kill for gold, and then blame the supernatural, which is again something we keep bumping into all the time with these stories. That there's always, it seems to be something happens and let's blame something paranormal, especially in the olden days. Found dead in the room in the loft with the bloke you shouldn't have been with, and then it was a supernatural thing that killed him and turned me mad.
Yeah, but it seems if all the stories that I find about this, it keeps saying about the thing. However, another version of the story is that a Cornish fisherman murdered her because he was after. So another version of the story is that she was actually in Cornwall, and a fisherman murdered her and buried her, and then was bitten by the ghost of the puppy because he murdered her. So there's a few different versions of this story. Yeah.
I would more believe in the fact that the dog wasn't dead and bitter, and then he got rabies and died.
Yeah.
Potentially that's something that could have happened, rather than a ghost of a dog biting. It could have, especially if it had been a rabies bite, then nobody would have understood what that was, I'm sure. When the dog was dying, then the person had rabies and died, and then that's too weird and too scary.
But it's interesting because if you search for Chinese princess at Land's End,
Yeah.
all you seem to get are a few different blog posts and a couple of news stories just talking about this exact story with slightly different variations of. So, like you said, there's no sort of thing of who was the princess, was she actually a princess? Yeah.
Yeah. And does
So-
anybody actually see these dogs, or are they just? It's just like an invisible bite. Does anybody actually reported seeing the dogs? I know you said they were like Pekingese as a breed.
Yeah, apparently it's just an invisible bite of
Okay.
it protecting the grave. So if anyone gets close to where she's buried, then apparently they feel this invisible bite, which is then marking them for death.
And I'm assuming there's been no other reports of this for the last 200 years.
Nope, not at all.
Okay. Well, mine's better than yours.
And even searching for a Land's End grave, Daisy in a cross, there doesn't seem to be any photographs of a grave anywhere near Land's End with daisies in the shape of a cross.
Yeah. No, it's to me this sounds like I could believe that a prince, not princess, but a wealthy Chinese citizen was coming across and then was murdered for the money, thrown overboard, blamed as supernatural story of weather, and then perhaps getting bitten by a dog with rabies and then dying. Then, of course, there's no other deaths after that to report it because the person died perhaps without infection. Maybe the dog died before biting anything else, so the rabies wasn't spread. I don't think we've ever had rabies ever in this country, even in the past. I think we've been rabies free always.
I wouldn't. We must have had rabies at some point.
You would think so, but being an island gives some advantages, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it used to.
For
the ease of travel.
Rabies was eliminated from land animals in the UK by 1922. So we did used to have rabies.
Okay.
But
So
it
they
was
may have been
totally
aware.
eradicated in
Yeah.
1922.
Okay. So we've got no evidence. We've just got stories that are a couple hundred years old. No accounts of anything else after that.
Nope.
No modern day things. I
So-
think this one is just it's just a story, isn't it? It's just a story. It's just people covering tracks after killing somebody for gold.
Yeah. So let's go to your story that you found of Daisy dogs.
Yeah, my dog story is much more positive than yours. So I don't have a time frame for this, but it was apparently there was apparently there was the lighthouse keeper, his daughter. Now, let me get this right. Hold a second. So the lighthouse keeper went missing. And the daughter went looking for her dad, the lighthouse keeper. She had a dog called Daisy, which was like a little terrier or a spaniel of some kind. So, another small dog. Now, so she went looking for the dad and fell from the cliffs whilst looking for her dad, fell into the sea. And Daisy, her dog, leapt after her into the sea and drowned. Now, so basically, the little girl died, and the dog died. But the only ghost there is the dog Daisy. Now, the locals say that Daisy's spirit is still seen wandering the cliffs, looking out to sea. Basically, still at Land's End will be seen around. It's described as being now translucent or shimmering dog with glowing eyes. So, very different to the normal dog. But it's often just seen trotting around, pausing to look out to seas. And apparently when hikers get lost, hikers who are lost have reported seeing the dog circling them, then vanishing. So that's very different. It apparently is a positive ghost because it helps people who are lost find their way back. So it has been reported that it has been sort of moving people closer to other people. And then when people get safe after they've been lost, then the dog will disappear. It's people who have experienced the dog, because it's even modern days people have experienced this ghost, have said they felt like the dog has nudged them away from the cliff edges and barking to draw them away from danger. So
Okay.
that's interesting. Yep. So they hear paw. I don't know how you hear phantom paw steps, but phantom paw steps on the mud. Distant howls, jingling of a collar in the wind, which again we found out on the moors that it could be anything jingling in the wind.
Yes.
But whenever anyone ever gets close to her, she will just disappear, leaving a warm patch of ground or even paw prints on the ground where she was. So yeah. So and apparently the most common sightings have been solo dog walkers or people who've got lost, like I say, not hitchhikers, hikers have got lost, and night photographers have also seen her as well a lot. So this is seen as like a guardian spirit because she's still searching for mysteries for the little girl who went missing. So she's going to protect everybody else to avoid, so they don't get lost, they don't die. So it's actually a really positive thing. I don't really have many more details than that, apart from that's this version of Daisy. Daisy is a spirit of a dog that is now trying to save people from the same fate of her owner. The little girl who owned her, which I think is a nice little story to think if you got lost out there on Land's End and you're getting too close to the edge in the fog, and a mysterious ghostly dog will save you.
Yeah, and I quite prefer your version of the story of being saved by a ghostly dog.
Yeah,
I quite like the idea of a ghostly dog saving me.
we don't hear that many positive stories. I mean, I think. Can you think of any positive stories? We haven't really dealt with many.
No, everything we've done so far has been some sort of negative. Like even the version of the story that I got was to do with a negative story of starting off with a murder and that sort of thing. So yeah, we haven't done very many positive stories. Um, yeah, because even the ridiculous one, like the Boggarts and things, that was all a negative. I suppose the Toadman, apart from the story of Elijah, um, I suppose the Toadman was sort of a positive because it was using witchcraft to be good at their arts.
Yeah, but you had to rip a toad apart to do that. That wasn't quite nice. And if you got it
True.
wrong, then you had to bargain your soul back from the devil. If you
Yeah.
didn't catch the bones floating down, the gifts of cows from fairies was quite nice.
Yes.
There was nothing ill intent there. It was only when people started acting up that they disappeared, but nothing really bad happened. It was more of a gift.
Yes, and I still apologise to every Welsh person that heard the very bad pronunciations of Welsh words.
I think they were very good, but then again, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if it's good, but it sounded convincing to me. Um, so yeah, I mean, again, but again, with this story, the only thing that gets me is that there's modern sightings.
Yes.
So there's modern sightings, modern reports, but I can't find really any other details. That this is just what people are saying. There's nothing documented as far as fact or as far as sightings, even though they're saying that night photographers will see the dog, but I can't find any pictures of it.
However, it's quite weird that both stories are about dogs that are called that have links to Daisy, and the ghost stories are both
Yep,
Daisy dogs in the exact same location,
yep.
but two very different stories.
How did the two stories separate? Because there was a common source. Maybe it's just again, maybe it's a thing again. Somebody just misheard somebody. They overheard in a pub someone talking about it, didn't hear all the details, made up their own story, went home,
Yeah.
started talking about it, had to make up the bits they didn't have.
But did you say in your story the girl fell off the cliff and died?
Yes, she did. She did. She went missing and was never found.
And in my story that had the Chinese princess, her body was found underneath the cliff. So what if they're the same story, only slightly different?
People had different experiences. We could have quite easily, I imagine, if somebody had found the body, then died mysteriously,
Yeah.
and then the rumors spread.
And then
But then
heard about
yeah,
some treasures. They went down the pub and heard about some treasures from a group of people that were on their boat. And then that then spread, and then somebody else comes in goes, "Oh no, my daughter's fallen off the cliff and died, and the dog's gone missing."
Or dog jumped off after.
Yeah.
Stupid dog. No, loyal and faithful dog. Sorry, I got that bit wrong. I always get that bit wrong. Not a stupid dog at all. It's a brave dog.
Yes, very brave dog.
Yeah. So,
and I've got
nothing.
Story. I've got nothing witty to say really, because both stories involve young people being either murdered or dead in some way. So
yeah.
I've got nothing really witty to say about this one.
But even worse, it involves dogs drowning, and people don't like that.
Yes.
They could. It's a kid. Doesn't matter. It's a dog. No, that's it. I'm not listening anymore.
Yeah. So for a change,
we haven't just drowned one dog in the story. We've drowned, I don't know, 3 adult dogs and a load of puppies.
Yes.
That's this episode's death toll. 2 young women, 3 dogs, and a load of puppies. plus a couple other sailors, perhaps, and a village idiot, and somebody else who just happened to stumble across a grave.
Yeah.
So it's quite a high death toll this week.
Yeah, there is.
God.
Yeah, but it's nice that in your story the dog is still there protecting people because it doesn't want people to have the same fate of the little girl.
I think we need more positive ghost stories.
Yes. So if you're listening and you know a positive ghost story, please send it over to us.
I mean, obviously there's lots of stories of, young children who will be seen talking to somebody, and it turns out then they think it's like the grandmother looking after the child or that kind of thing. So there's lots of sort of guardian angels or guardian invisible friends that children have. But this is an actively helpful ghost story. Much better than being bitten to death by a dog. I know which one I'd prefer. But again, another
ghost.
Yeah. But another thing, I mean, this is another thing we're talking about, the amount of people who visit Land's End every year. If there was a ghost of a dog, why are we not flooded with accounts?
Because people are too busy looking at their bank accounts and trying to figure out how much money they've spent, and trying to get
a photograph.
Yeah, trying to get a photograph without paying the extortionate price for the photograph. Although I did read a story, I think it's gone now, hasn't it? Not the sign, but I think they told the family who had that sort of little booth for many years. I think they've actually ended their contract. And I think you can now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they've shut the little shop bit down. And I think you can now get a picture of the sign for free.
Oh, do you know what? It's only an hour and a half away from here. I might go to see it.
Yeah. But I'm pretty certain you've now only got to pay for the parking and the entrance, and you can get a picture of the sign for free now, included in your ticket. Because there was a whole story about the family being like, we've been here generations and what have you, and how dare they end the contract? And then loads of people go, look, you're not going to get any sympathy for us. Your pictures are expensive.
Yeah, I mean, you should only milk your visitors for so much, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, it's not like it's going anywhere, is it? The rest of the coast might be eroding, but Land's End's still there. It's not like they're propping it up with anything. But did you... this is probably another one we got to look at another day. The Lost City off Land's End. You know that one?
No.
Well, the sunken coin... Here you go. So apparently... There's rumours that Daisy may actually be a guardian of the legend of the Isle of Lioness, I think it is. Ooh. Which is apparently an island, a part of land that used to stretch from Land's End to the Isle of Scilly. Contained 140 churches and fertile lands, and it was all lost in a giant flood.
Maybe we need to do some research and make that a future episode.
I think so.
And on that note, we have been the Boo-Foons. I've been Dan.
And I've been Steve.
And until next week, keep it spooky, keep it real. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Take care.
See you, bye.
Boo-Foons, mystery investigators.